Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Guru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। Namaste all of you. Today we have got only 4 people other than me. See, if people, I've already told this when we were having classes. If we are for any reason not able to come for the class, have the courtesy at least to send me a message that you are not able to attend. Some of you have been doing it, I don't deny that, but I find many people, they don't bother at all, as if this class is something like an entertainment for them. If they have nothing else to do, they will come and sit in this class. This is something which I will not accept. And if it comes to that, I will stop these classes. Because as a guru, I cannot afford to witness some people who are seemingly seem to be interested in Vedanta showing this kind of an attitude towards our scriptures. This I cannot tolerate. Whatever degree of titiksha I may have, this titiksha I don't have. That you actually, behave in such a manner with our Vedas, our scriptures, that you don't even bother to, just send a small WhatsApp message that today I will not be able to attend the class. So I didn't want to start this class with a very, in such a bad mood. Unfortunately, this is what is happening. We already have only 8 or 9 students. Out of these, 4 of them are missing, and that too without information is not acceptable to me. I am going to send a very strong message that if you don't want to come, please get your name delisted. As I have always told you, I don't mind even teaching to one student, but that student should have sincerity to attend the class regularly. I don't want altu faltu students here that who have no interest in Vedanta. Their interest in Vedanta is only if they have nothing else to do. That kind of students is not required. I'll be very happy to teach 1 or 2 students who are really interested in learning this. Because our Guru Parampara has put in a lot of efforts to bring this knowledge of the scriptures to us. We must at least have some respect for that efforts that they have put in. Isn't it? So with these words, we will go into the 50th sloka. Okay. So in the last sloka we saw in the last class, we saw a definition of Jivan Mukta. That is what Acharya introduces to Jivan Mukta. So the 50th verse, he is actually expanding or expounding that idea of who is a Jivan Mukta with a very beautiful example. When I come to that example, you will realize how beautiful he is, he brings in that idea here. So I'll read the sloka. Tirtva moharnavam hatva ragadveshadirakshasan yogi shanti samayuktaha atma ramo virajate. So here he beautifully illustrates how the jiva attains moksha through a story from Ramayana. If we read the sloka, we will not even imagine that what he has in mind. Right? And in this story, Rama is originally the Paramatma. And when Sita asked for the golden deer, Rama went after it. This action on the part of Rama is supposed to be a fall from Rama, the Paramatma status, to Rama, the Jivatma status. From Paramatma Avastha to Jivatma Avastha, Rama has fallen. Why? The golden deer stands for all the Anatma Abhimana. Attracted by that. Even though Rama himself was not attracted, but by being impelled by Sita, he goes after it. He is not telling Sita that this golden deer is a Maya. Isn't it? That is also Maya. See how beautifully this he has brought in this example. So when we study Ramayana as a Vedanti, as a Vedantin, or as a seeker, do we see this in Ramayana? We have to see. Because as I told you, our scriptures, so beautifully they are made that at different levels one can interpret and understand the scriptures. So this incident of Rama going behind the golden deer on Sita's insistence is interpreted by Adi Shankara as exactly Vedanta. So Rama from his Paramatma Avastha falls down to the Jivatma Avastha in running behind Anatma or all this, Raga Dvesha business, running behind that. Okay. Now golden deer, gold is material, isn't it? So he is running behind all material pursuits. So what happens? When Rama falls from the Paramatma status to the Jivatma status, he loses Sita, the Shanti. Sita actually is a representative of Shanti in Ramayana. So he loses that Shanti. In fact, those who have learnt music or some music knowledge, that's the beautiful Sadashiva Brahmendra Kriti is there. Khelati mama hridaye Shri Rama. Khelati mama hridaye. If you recall that song and recall the words of that song, such a beautiful words, what it says? Shanti videha suta sahachari. Shanti videha suta sahachari. There he is comparing, Sadashiva Brahmendra Swami is comparing Sita with Shanti. So, this separation from Sita, he says, is the separation from Shanti for Rama. That's why he loses his peace when Sita is kidnapped. Loses his peace, goes around searching, becomes a seeker again. From a Paramatma Avastha, he becomes a sadhaka, seeking for Shanti, looking for that Shanti. And how much he has to go do, roam around. Finally, he has to fight with Ravana. And what is Ravana? Here he compares Ravana as Raga Dveshadi Rakshasa. All this beautiful. I mean, if we understand Ramayana from a Vedanta point of view, when we read Ramayana, all that should come into our mind is only Vedanta. Our Swarupa, our present life, as a samsari, as a jivatma, what are we doing? We are running behind. Why? Because we have actually forgotten. We have become ignorant of our Paramatma status. The moment you regain your Paramatma status, Shanti comes back. Right? So there is a very big Arnavam, Samudra, right? Which is called Moha, right? That's why he says, Tirtva, having swam across. Moharnavam, Hatva. Moharnavam means, Arnavam means ocean. Moha is delusion, delusion of, the ocean of delusion. Hatva raga dveshadi rakshasa. Having destroyed, killed, whom? The Rakshasas, in the form of Raga Dvesha, Adi. Adi Padad, you can put everything. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, everything you can put. Adi Padad. Okay. So, Moha Maharnavam Tirtva, having crossed. So, Rama having crossed the Arnava through the Setu, the Rama Setu. Similarly, the Jiva has to cross the Moha Arnava through Viveka Setu, through discrimination. And for Viveka Setu, you require all the other Setus also, Viraga and all that, all Sadhana Chatushte Sampatti you require. But the main thing is discrimination. Discrimination between what? Atma, Anatma, Swarupa and Samsara, are superimposed, what we can call Upadhi. This Viveka is what is required, right? So this Dustara Moha Maharnava has to be crossed by Viveka Setu. And then that song says, Raga Dvesha Sukha Suramari. Same idea he brings it. Raga Dvesha the Rakshasan Hatva. This is right. Hatva means, as I told you, destroyed or killed. So many Rakshasas are there. They keep on coming. All this Raga, Dvesha, Krodha, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, all these are Rakshasas keep on coming to us. So you have to go on killing one Rakshasa. But some of these Rakshasas are of the nature of Ravana. You cut one head, another head comes up there. Again, a very beautiful, imagination, or I would say a visualization of Ravana's character. Why did Valmiki give 10 heads to Ravana and then every head you cut, another head will come in its place? It is because even though we may overcome these Raga Dveshas temporarily, they have a tendency to keep on coming again and again and again. That is why all these Raga Dvesha, the Rakshasas, have to be destroyed from their moolam. From their root, they have to be destroyed. And that is why Vibhishana advises Rama that if you keep on cutting the head of Ravana, nothing will happen. You have to shoot at the moolam. You have to kill that part or destroy that part which is responsible for all these things. See how beautiful the comparison is. And we have all heard Ramayana. We all know the story fully. Have we ever imagined that this part of the story can actually be related to the total Advaita Vedanta? Right. So then, these Rakshasas have to be destroyed, and all of them are killed. What happens? Sita Sametaha. Shanti is regained. Similarly, the Jivatma should get associated with Shanti Sametaha. And then he says, the next sentence, Yogi. Yogi means the seeker here, the sadhaka, right? Who does all these jobs and then becomes united with Shanti. Having killed all the Raga, Dvesha, the Rakshasas, he becomes united with Shanti. And this Shanti, which was originally belonging to the Jivatma itself. Sita originally belonged to Rama only. But because of Rama's own delusion, or I would probably go to the extent of saying foolishness, Moham, wife has told, so it has to be obeyed. In fact, he does try to convince her, isn't it, in the story. but she is not convinced. I think, I don't know, Kamba Ramayana somewhere says that she becomes very upset with Rama that he is not fulfilling her desires. Anyhow, that is the Ramayana story part. But here Rama still, he goes behind that golden deer, right? So every jiva is actually Atma Ramaha only. That's what he says, Atma Rama, right? Where is that? Atma Ramo Virajate. So every jiva is Atma Ramaha only, right? And once he crosses this Moha Arnava, destroys this Raga Dvesha, he gets associated with Shanti, Sita. That's what you have to understand. And for this purpose, a guru is necessary. That also very beautifully is brought in the idea, even though it doesn't say it explicitly, we have to understand Anjaneya was the guru who took this Jivatma Rama and united with Shanti, Sita. So here, Hanuman as the guru is showing Rama the self-knowledge, that you are actually a Paramatma. That we have to read all these meaning into this example with Adi Shankara has given. So Anjaneya is the one who unites them together, and every guru conducts this wedding. His job, Guru's job is to do the vivaha between the Jivatma and Shanti, which is moksha. Well, Shanti Rupa, moksha is what Shanti Swarupa is moksha. Total peace, happiness. Right? And this wedding will never have a divorce because moksha is permanent, eternal. It cannot be, once you get moksha, once you realize what your moksha is, once you realize that you are Nitya Mukta, there is no question of climbing down from there. If you climb down, this is what happened to Rama will happen to you. That is the warning being given. But then, for the story's purpose, for the sake of explaining this concept to us, the story is there. But for us, once we realize our Swarupa as Nitya Mukta, there is nothing left. Your Shanti is always there. There is knowledge once gained cannot be taken away. Right? And there is a very beautiful shloka also, which Swami Paramatmananda quotes. Satyam Mata Pita Jnanam Dharmo Bhrata Daya Sakha Shanti Patni Kshama Putra hai Shadete Mama Bandhava. We are all lost in this samsara with all ahankara and more importantly, mamakara. We are taking all this anatma prapancha and other jivatmas in this samsari world as our bandhava, our relation. So and so is my relation, so and so is my relation. The scripture says they are not your relations at all. You are taking them to be relations because of your delusion and your ignorance, misconception. Your real relatives are whom? Satyam Mata. Satyam can be interpreted here both as existence, pure existence, and also as truth, the reality. Both are same only. Absolute reality, absolute truth, and absolute existence. Satyam, Mata. Pita Jnanam. Knowledge, self-knowledge is the Pita, the father. That is a Bandhava. The relationship should be that. Then Dharmo Bhrata, all Dharma way of life, leading the life in a dharmic way is Bhrata, the brother. Daya Sakha. Your friends are what? Compassion, Daya. Towards everything, everybody in this entire universe. Then Shanti Patni. What is the wife? Shanti, peace, tranquility, undisturbed mind. Kshama putra, ability to forgive everything. Putra. Shadete mama bandhavaha. These 6 are actual relatives of yours. Not all the other relatives, uncle, auntie, business and all, which you go around looking for. They are not your relatives. If you make these 6 relatives, moksha becomes very easy for you. For Jnani makes these 6 as only relatives. That is why he gives up all other relationship. He gives up all karmas, everything. All his karmas are, around these 6 values only, these 6 things. That is what a Jnani is all about. Okay. So these are the real bandhus. They are the liberating bandhus, liberating friends, relations. So he says, Atma Rama Virajate. Virajate means shines. Once you have all these relatives with you, consider them only as relatives. Your Swarupa Atma, that is Swarupa, your Swarupa, self-effulgent Swarupa shines, it comes out automatically. Your Sachidananda Swarupa shows itself up automatically. That's what is this sloka is about. Now we will go to the next sloka. Bahya nitya sukha saktim hitvatma sukha nirvritaha gatastha deepavat swastaha swantareva prakashate. So, previous sloka he concluded with Atma Ramaha Virajate, right? So, Atma eva Rama. Atma Rama. Atma Rama is a samasa. Dvandva samasa. Atma eva Rama. So, Rama is called Rama because Ramante Sarve Asmin iti Rama. That is the derivation of the word Rama. That is the etymological derivation. Right? Rama is called Rama because everyone revels in the Atma alone. Atma eva Rama. And this is, of course, Swami Sadananda has been giving lectures on Adhyatma Ramayana. And this is what is the essence of Adhyatma Ramayana. Vyasacharya has very beautifully taken the entire Ramayana, converted into Advaita. That's a beautiful text. Unfortunately, because of circumstances, we were not fortunate enough to complete the text there. Right? So, every jnani is called Atma Rama. Every Ajnani is called Anatma Rama because they all revel in all Anatma only, Ajnanis. And that thought, that Atma Rama, which he used in the previous sloka, he clarifies here. Right? So the word Atma Rama is explained in this sloka. He gives up the Anatma Rati. So he says, Bahya Anitya Sukha Sakti, Sukha Asakti, which means Anatma Ratihi, revelry in Anatma. What he does, Hitva, he gives it up. And he always revels in Atma. So as a Ajnani, all along he was reveling in all this Anatma Prapancha. That he gives up and he starts reveling in Atma. Remember, all this Jivan Mukta, we are actually trying to understand who a Jivan Mukta is, who a Jnani is. That's what we are trying to understand. Okay. And there is a sloka in Gita also. Bahyasparshe shvasaktatma vindatyatmani yat sukham. Similar idea. He whose mind remains unattached to the sense of the sense object. Bahyasparsheshu asaktatma. Asakti is not there in sense objects, right? Derives through meditation. Vindyatyatmani, through meditation. Here we can take it as nididhyasana. Or we can actually extend it to Sravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, all three rather. The sattvika joy, through meditation, through all the Sravana, Manana, and Nididhyasanam, he gets the sattvic joy which dwells in the mind. So sattvic joy means what? Pure joy, unadulterated joy, pure happiness, pure ananda, swarupa ananda. That is what he gets, right? So he who takes delight in the self itself, self alone, and he is gratified with the self, contented with the self, is a jnani. Atmani eva atma tushtaha, atmana tushtaha. That is what it is. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. So the essence is he no longer revels in anatma, therefore he no longer depends upon the anatma for any kind of happiness. And so the arrival or departure of any anatma does not make any difference to him. If things come to him, okay, accept it. If they don't come also, no regrets, no problem. Because he doesn't need any of them. He has got his own Atma to be happy. Okay, revels in his own Atma. And by so saying so, here Adi Shankara is trying to point out the difference between a Jnani and a Samsari. Difference between a Samsari and a Jivan Mukta hai, he is trying to point out. So a Samsari is one who is Bahya Vishaya Asakta hai, Paranchikhani Vatna Swayambhu Tasmat Parang Pashyati Nantaratman. Do you all recall? Where we have heard this mantra?
Kathopanishad.
Kathopanishad. Third chapter, second Valli, third chapter, first mantra, if I am not wrong. Paranchikhani Vyatana Swayambhu. There, Yamaraja said, it is not your mistake, oh samsari. God has made all your sense organ going outside. And that is why you pursue all these anatma prapancha, thinking that they will give you happiness. Right? So, man always looks outside, not inside for happiness. That was the Na Antaratman. That was the message given in Kathopanishad. So the same idea he is giving here. So here in this sloka, Bahyam, when he refers, he is referring to Anatma. Right? And he says, Bahya Anitya Sukha Asaktihi. Asaktihi means what? Attachment, desire. Sukham means all kinds of pleasures we can take. Anitya Sukham, temporary happiness. Impermanent happiness, you can say. Coming from what? From all these Bahya Vishaya, from external things, external objects. So, Bahya Vishaya Janya Anitya Sukha Asaktihi. That's what the first line says. And why is the external pleasures Anityam? Once again, we go back to Gita Stoka. ये ही संस्पर्शजा भोगा है दुःख यो नयेवते आद्यन्तवन्त कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः न तेषु रमते बुधः. Buddha, a wise man, he does not revel in all these things, all these external objects, right? The pleasures which are born of all our sense contacts with the world, they are actually a source of suffering. Unfortunately, we think that they are the source of happiness, right? So even though it appears to be giving happiness to this samsaris, this worldly minded people, all these have a beginning and an end. All impermanent happiness, that's why they are impermanent. Because they have a beginning and they have an end. When the beginning happens, you are happy. When the end happens, you become unhappy. That is what is the problem with us. Mishra life. Happy, unhappy, like that we go on. And as we go along in our life, as we reach, nearer to the old age, the moments of happiness become very less and the moments of unhappiness become very big. Because at that time, it is not only unhappiness caused by all surroundings, but unhappiness being caused by our own body, mind, intellect also starts happening. As long as we are very healthy and all that, fine. Only unhappiness is caused by external things because our body mind complex doesn't cause much unhappiness. But as we grow older, as we grow lonely in life, when our children have grown up and flown away from the nest, people who are related to us of our own same age group are in the same condition as us. They are all living in different places. We can't even meet each other. So loneliness takes hold. Then unhappiness also proportionately increases. Many times when we get up, we just ask ourselves, why am I getting up here? What am I going to do today? Am I going to face more difficult situations today? This is the feeling of many people. I'm not saying everybody has it. Many people have it. And that is why many people keep on sleeping in the morning. If they get sleep, old. If they don't get sleep, that is another kind of worry. I'm not getting sleep. So all these things which are totally dependent on external sources for either giving us happiness, those very same external sources have got a very tremendous potential to give us lot of unhappiness because they are of impermanent nature, right? And that is why Krishna says that Arjuna, these things, all these things are impermanent in nature. They don't have a potential to give you permanent happiness, and that is why wise people don't depend upon these external sources for their happiness. That's what he says. Na teshu kaunteya na teshu ramate buddha. They don't revel in those or look forward for happiness from any of these external sources. Another sloka. मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौंतेय शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः आगमा पायिनो अनित्याः ताम स्थितिक्षस्व भारत. Agama payino, they have their nature is coming and going. So another sloka where Krishna again emphasizes the same idea. All these things, external things, they don't stay permanently. So a wise man will never look towards them for any permanent kind of happiness. And they are the ones which are giving rise to these feelings of sukha dukkada. He says, right? Shitoshna sukha dukkada. Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkha, all these opposites are all caused by all these dependence on these external objects. So, Arjuna, be a wise man. Don't look for them for your happiness. That's what he says, right? Basically, this is the definition of samsara. The more we turn extrovert in our life, paranchikhani, the more Atmananda we will miss. Because it is not possible for a person to focus equally At the same time, on Anatma as well as Atma. If you want to focus on Anatma, you will have to completely remove the focus on Atma. And once you want to focus on your Atma, Anatma focus has to be drastically reduced. It is not possible to sail in two boats. These are two boats sailing in totally different opposite directions. One is a journey internally, another is an external journey. So we have to choose, use our free will, what we want. You want temporary happiness or permanent happiness? If you ask a young fellow who is 20 years old, and this used to be true in our generation, right? Modern generation may not be true that much, but still the concept will be there. If you ask him, I have got a job for you which will pay you a lot of money, but it's a temporary job. You don't know when the job will be lost. You could be appointed today and tomorrow you may lose the job, but the salary will be very high. And I have got another job which is a permanent job. You will never lose, but the money is less. People in our generation or even one generation before us always went for the second job. Permanent job, even money is less. At least that money I will get continuously. I will learn to manage with what I get, but there won't be any break. Till I retire, I will get this money. Probably by increments and all, little more. But there is so much uncertainty insofar as the other job is concerned. And if I lose this opportunity, once I lose the other job, I will not get this permanent job again. So it is a human tendency to go for permanency. Always. And when it comes to happiness also, the indication here is choose permanent happiness. Don't choose temporary happiness. When you choose permanent happiness, you are always going to be happy. Ever happy. Okay. And Kathopanishad, exactly, we also another mantra. Duramete viparite vishuchi avidya ya cha vidyeti jnata. I won't explain that these two, ignorance and knowledge. Right? Viparite vishuchi. Avidya, vidya. They are opposite in nature. Right? Wide apart. And they lead to different goals, different journey itself is different rather. And that is the problem, samsara journey and atma journey, moksha journey. They are two different things. So one needs to choose what you want to focus on. Right? So that is what it is, right? So if one goes for anatma sukham, he cannot get atma sukham because paraspara virodhitvat, and therefore the samsari always misses the atma sukham. In one sense, we can say misses the atma sukham. He does get atma sukham because whatever temporary sukham also he is getting through anatmas, that is also actually coming from his atma only. But because of his ignorance that it is coming from atma, he thinks that it is coming from that object. He misses that atma sukham. That's how we have to understand. Otherwise, there is no other source for getting sukham. There is no other source for getting happiness other than your own swarupa. The swarupa ananda only gives us even temporary happiness. This point we must understand very carefully. Permanent happiness means that understanding that none of these objects of this external world, this bahya prapancha, are capable of giving me permanent happiness. That is the understanding is what is required. So I will stop running behind them. Otherwise, even that little bit of happiness which we get, the temporary happiness, the impermanent happiness that we get, thinking it is coming from this bahya vishaya, Also, it is not coming from Bahya Vishaya, it is only our Swarupa Ananda. It just shines little bit, flickers. That's what happens, right? As I told you, that happens in those moments of our realizing Purnatva. When our limitation, which we take as limitation, for a moment or for a few moments, that limitation becomes limitlessness. That vanishes. We discover that Ananda. If we allow ourselves to be in that state permanently, then that Ananda will permanently continue. Which means what? Permanently, if we have to remain in that state, means you must not be looking forward to any more Anatma for giving you happiness. That means you are reveling in your Atma. That's what it is. So, we must very carefully understand this concept that even when you are talking about impermanent happiness, that impermanent happiness also, the source of that is also our Swarupa Ananda. This much we must understand, right? So a Jivan Mukta is one who has sacrificed the Anatma Sukham for the sake of Atma Sukham. So Bahya Anitya Sukha Asaktim Hitva. Hitva means Tyaktva, having given up, right? Having sacrificed. And not a painful sacrifice, not a sacrifice made because of helplessness. It is a sacrifice made with full knowledge and a very happy sacrifice he makes. This is not a question of sour grapes business, right? And Puja Swamiji emphasizes this. The sacrifice, even when you are taking sannyasa, the giving up should be a voluntary with full free will, happily giving up everything, every relationship in this world. Not with any, even a pinch of sadness. Then only the sannyasa will be successful. Otherwise, you will be a sannyasa samsari, a samsari sannyasi. Even going into sannyasa, you will keep worrying, oh my God, I was enjoying so much. Now I have taken up this sannyasa. I think, I don't know whether I did the right thing. If such thoughts come to a sannyasi's mind, he better, of course, sannyasi is a one-way traffic. He can't come back to samsari jiva, right? That's why taking sannyasa, one has to be very, very careful and very sure about what he is going to do in his life. Because if a sannyasi has to come back to Grihastha ashrama, or for that matter, he has to start from brahmacharya ashrama, because he has already removed his upanayana, his upavitam. So he has to go through the process, or samskaras, again, at the age of 60 years or 70 years. Possible? Not possible. So getting into sannyasa, one should be very, very careful. That's why modern, our acharyas today, they don't emphasize on physical sannyasa. They say you remain in grihastha lead a sannyasi's life. Become a mental sannyasi. It is difficult. It is more challenging than becoming a real sannyasi, that is taking a formal sannyasa ashram. Grihastha sannyasi is more challenging. Grihastha sannyasi has to do lot of drama, lot of acting he has to do. In front of all his relatives, in front of all his friends, everything, he has to act as if he is not a sannyasi, he is a samsari. Whereas within his own mind, he knows he is a sannyasi. Yeah. And it becomes really very difficult at times. People will accuse him so many things because he has already disconnected emotionally his own swarupa He has disconnected it with his emotional side. So many circumstances or many experiences which can cause emotional upheaval in other people. This sannyasi, this antara sannyasi, manasika sannyasi, he will not show the same emotional reaction because he understands the truth. That all these experiences are all mithya, belongs to the anatma prapancha. I don't need to take them seriously at all. But he cannot afford to be like that in front of everybody. They will say, what is this? This fellow is like a jadam. He has no emotions. And they all think that being emotional is a very great thing. Those samsari foolish people, they don't realize that because of their emotions only, they are suffering all their sufferings in their life. So what this sannyasi, this antara sannyasi has to do in the midst of them, in their company, he also has to show some false emotions in order to satisfy them that I am also a human being. Otherwise, they will say, are you a human being? You are like an animal. You have no emotions. This is what they will, accuse this fellow. Not that he will be worried about their accusations, but he is concerned. He has compassion for them. He doesn't want them to feel bad. He doesn't want to make them feel miserable, because here in the midst of our company there is this one man who is like a wood, piece of wood. He has no emotions, nothing. Such a big tragedy has taken place and he is not reacting at all. Because any amount of explanation to them that about Advaita Vedanta and all is not going to help. So what this fellow, this Grihastha sannyasi has to do, he has to do some play acting along with them. He will also act as if he is very emotionally upset and all that. And in his own mind, he will be telling, okay, this is, I'm doing play acting. I'm not taking this seriously. So he will do a role play. So why I'm saying is the Grihastha sannyasa, and this Swami Paramathananda actually expounds it very nicely in many talks. Grihastha sannyasa is not an easy job. But you have to Churasya dhara. You have to walk that path. Very razor's edge. You have to walk that path if you choose Grihastha sannyasa. Otherwise, if you are really very fully matured mind, very clear about your goals in life as moksha, enough viveka, vairagya, titiksha and everything, mumukshutva. Easy method is take formal sannyasa. If circumstances are conducive, take formal sannyasa. Then you are totally, officially get rid of everything. Mamakara, ahankara, you can get rid of it officially. But if you cannot do that, Grihastha sannyasa is an option, but it is riddled with lot of difficulties. Okay. So, what Pujya Swamiji says is that this happily accepting this or happily giving up, sacrificing is very, very important. And he gives a nice example. He says, once we know something is rubbish, waste paper, will we put it in our pocket? We will throw it away only. So, and by throwing it away, you won't go around telling people, you see, I got one rubbish and I threw it away. That is my, sacrifice I have made. If the Swami says, he will be called a rubbish sannyasi. Jocularly he says. So nobody claims any credit for throwing away banana peel. Banana peel is meant to be thrown away. Similarly, here also, sannyasi, Jivan Mukta should happily renounce. And for what purpose? Atma Sukha Nirvritaha, for getting the, for getting the nivritti, contentment, fulfillment, tripti, or happiness, tushti, in Atma Sukhe, in the reveling in one's own self. So anatma sukhe asaktim tyaktva atma sukhe nishtah nirvritah. That is what it is. And in Lalita Sahasranamam also we will come across a sloka. Antarmukha samaradhya bahirmukha sudurlabha. You all know Lalita Sahasranamam, you will remember this. So for bahirmukha people, for the extrovert people, Devi, who is Sachidananda Swarupini, Supta Prajnatmika Turya Sarvavastha Vivarjita. That is her Swarupa. Supta Prajnatmika Turya. Mandukya Upanishad straight away coming into Lalita Sahasranam. Right? Sarvavastha Vivarjita. In all avasthas. Vivarjita. Right? So she is Sachidananda Rupini, Atma Swarupini. She is Sudurlabhi. Sudurlabha. Sudurlabha. For whom? For all these extrovert people, this Lalita who is in the form of Atma Swarupa, Sachidananda Swarupa, she is Durlabha. Very difficult to get. Whereas for a Jivan Mukta, for a Jnani, for one who is focused only on his Atma and not any Anatma, she is what? Antarmukha Samaradhya. So here also in Lalita Sahasranam also we see the same. That's why you see all our scriptures, if you actually take, they will talk only Advaita Vedanta. We just have to understand the meanings of those scriptures. Those who are Vishnu Sahasranamam, when we go forward, you will see these ideas being repeated again and again and again. Not because Shankaracharya has written the Bhashya. Shankaracharya writes the Bhashyam based upon what the scripture's teaching is. It is not his own interpretation. And he quotes Shruti, Smriti, Purana, everywhere he quotes, left, right and center. In fact, there is one shloka will come, Vishnu Sahasrama. He has quoted, Puranas and Shruti and Smriti, which runs into more than 40, 50 slokas. Same idea. He says it is not one or two places. So many places this idea is being said in all types of scriptures. There can be no doubt what the Vishnu Sahasranamam or what Bhishmacharya or what Vyasacharya through Bhishmacharya wanted to say. No doubt in that. Vyasacharya will not just like that say something. It is for us to see each word and interpret that word in the correct context. And that's what Adi Shankara does for us. So why I am saying is, this Antarmukha and this Bahirmukha business has to be understood very, very carefully. We have to choose Atma as our destination. And we have to sacrifice with developing enough amount of viraga. All these pleasures that we tend to get from the external objects. Right? So, another one, Yava Narte Udapane Sarvata Samprutodake Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vijanatah. Another sloka from Bhagavad Gita. Right? So, all these sloka after sloka can be quoted. Same idea is repeated. So, a Brahmana who has obtained enlightenment is called a Brahmana here, right? By Bhagavan Krishna, right? Vedeshta Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vijanata knows that. So a Brahmana who has obtained enlightenment has as much use for the Vedas even. Goes on to that extent that even once you have got this Atma Jnana, even all these Vedas, scriptures and all will be put in the Anatma category. They have no use for him. That's what he says. And here Krishna compares that person like a person who is standing on the brink of a reservoir. There's water all the sides, right? Which is he is as if he is looking for some small body of water standing at the foot of a big reservoir of water. So like that, these Vedas are nothing but it has actually taken him to his goal. Their job is over, finished. Give it up. No more Veda Parayanam, no more, nothing for you. You have become a Jnani, you have become a Jivan Mukta. So Anatma Sukham does not include Atma Sukham, whereas Atma Sukham includes Anatma Sukham also. That we must understand. So if you are getting Sukham from Anatma, you don't need to reject it. Don't look forward to that. That's one point. But if it is coming, don't reject it, because you understand that Sukham also is a part of, is coming from my Atma Sukham only. What am I going to gain by rejecting that Anatma Sukham? That is another aspect of this thing, right? Because infinite is not included in finite, but finite is included in infinite. That we must understand, right? Therefore, Jivan Mukta does not miss any type of Ananda, whether it is Swarupa Ananda or whether it is the impermanent or temporary Ananda. A Jivan Mukta, Nandati, Nandati, Nandati eva, in all circumstances, he will just be enjoying, only dancing and enjoying. Right? Yat Saukyam, Yat Saukyam, Buddha Lesha Leshata Ime Chakradhayo Nirvrita hai. Manisha Panchaka Sloka. Okay. And then we have this Ananda Mimamsa in Taittiriya Upanishad. Manushyananda, Devagandharvananda, like that it goes on and on and on, right? Indrananda, Brihaspaterananda, Prajapaterananda, all these Anandas are all what? Temporary Anandas only. And they are all what? Atma Anandas Lavalesha Matram. Only a very small fraction of what the Atma Ananda is. And therefore, he says, a Jivan Mukta hai, he enjoys Purna Anand, complete Anand. And he gives an example, Ghatastha Deepadivat Swastaha. Swastaha means Swasmin Rupe Sthitaha, who is abiding in his own nature. Swasmin Swarupe Sthitaha, Swastaha. Yata Deepo Nivatastaha Nengate Sopama Smrita. Even for a second, he doesn't lose the sight of his inner self. Swantareva Prakashate. Right? Yo Antasukha Antara Ramaha Tata Antarjyotireva Yaha. Antara means here Antaratma. Antaratma Sthitaha San. The one who is abiding or abides in his Antaratma. Antareva Sthite San Prakashate. He shines like Ghatastha Deepavat. Just as a Deepa which is within a pot shines within alone, that Ghata alone. It is not extrovert, right? It doesn't go outside the pot. A lamp within a pot shines within the pot only. It doesn't go and shine outside. Similarly, a Jnani's mind also doesn't go out, become extrovert. It ever abides in his own self. Now, this may create a doubt. If a Jnani's mind doesn't go outside and it is always shining within itself only, that could mean that a Jnani is always sitting in a samadhi with his closed eyes. Puja Swamiji says, Hilna nahi. Don't even move. That's Jnani. Closed his eyes, sitting, just the samadhi. Just not even, moving even a little bit. He has to sit absolutely motionless. The moment a small motion happens, he becomes extrovert. Right? So it's not like that. A jnani sees the world very much outside. But there also, as said in the Gita, it is said, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shunicha Eva Swapakecha Panditaha Buddha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. So even when he sees the external world, he sees himself as the very adhishthanam of this external world. That Antaratma, he doesn't lose sight of. And he fully understands this entire external world is nothing but Nama Rupa of what? My Swarupa only. I am the Adhishthanam of this entire Nama Rupa Prapancha. The Sat, the existence of this external world has been lent by me. This whole world has borrowed that Sat Swarupam from me only. That is why they are appearing as existing. So therefore, it is not that the jnani does not see the outside world, but he always remembers what? Sarva bhutastam atmanam. I am one who pervades all this entire external world. So antareva prakashate means, we must understand, Antaratma drishtim kadapi na tyajati. He never gives up that vision of his inner self, the Atma, the Adhishthanam, the Sakshi Chaitanyam. He never gives up that vision. Even though he may be in the midst of this entire world, doing all the things that everybody else does, but doesn't lose sight of that. And because of that, he continues to be a jnani. He doesn't come down from being a Paramatma Rama to a Jivatma Rama. That is what is the meaning of this sloka. Next sloka we will see in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you all. What happened to Gopalakrishnan Mama? He is okay, no? Health wise? Any idea?
Really, Mama? No idea. No idea.
Because last class also he was not there.
Ramraj here.
Huh?
He has got the same problem of that sentiments. I mean,
Sediment in the eyes.
Yeah, crystals forming in the.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But normally he does not miss the class, so that's why.
Yeah. He has taken an injection yesterday.
Oh, wow. Okay. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, any questions are there, you can ask. Otherwise, we will meet next. Today is what? Today is Tuesday. Friday we will meet.
Okay, Mama. Namaskar.
Okay. Namaskar. Everybody, Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Namaskaram.
Namaskar.